Retire overseas, banks, money, and other issues is the topic of this video. And I've been here in the Philippines for 10 years. I visited Vietnam. I've been to Mexico. I've been up into Canada. I have 3 different trips. I've met lots of other expats, various parts of the world. And just reading the different forums with people, one thing is guaranteed is that things will change over time. It might be it might be your own country and their banking laws and issues, your own bank. I know a guy right now, and because he has a small regional bank, they are more difficult to deal with. They only have operate during I think eight to five Florida time in the U.S. and he is quite sickly, bedridden, and even if we can get the bank on the phone, it is he doesn't seem to understand, and he has a hard time talking with anyone, including his brothers, on the phone. But yeah, your country, their banking laws, your bank, whatever you're using to Japanese karaoke bar there. Looks like a grand opening. Whatever you're going to use to transfer funds, number one, you should have probably at least 3 ways to transfer funds. And it wouldn't hurt to have at least 2 different bank accounts that you can use overseas. I've got 4 different credit cards, I guess, but one doesn't work most places in the Philippines. That could change because Discover was just recently bought out by Capital One. Capital One has worked. I've got a Visa and a Mastercard with them, and they work flawlessly over here. In fact, there's a link in the description of the video. They've got some kind of promo. I get a little kickback. I get a little bonus for the first 5 people that sign up for their program. But they, like any credit card, you want to be sure to try to pay off that balance quickly so that you aren't incurring high interest charges. But they're one of the very few banks that do not charge you extra for using it overseas. A lot of banks will have an international fee of 2-3%, maybe even more than that, up and above your purchase. So yeah, consider that. I just read an article, and I've got several British friends, UK, Irish, and I just read that there are like at least 5 banks in the UK that are going to start limiting how much retirees over 65 can take out at any one given time. And I don't know what those amounts are. The bank can change that, but that will be an issue for some people. I've got a Brit lives down the hall from me, and he was in the hospital a couple different times, and he had to withdraw a relatively large sum of money to pay his hospital bill. In fact, one time he didn't have the money, couldn't transfer it. I paid his bill with my credit card, and he paid me back a couple weeks later. Another issue you can have, Charles Schwab and I think others in the U.S., if you don't maintain a U.S. address, they will close your account, is what I'm hearing more and more. So, I've got friends who use Charles Schwab. They go back. They stay here 6-7 months. They go back for a few months. They come back here. As long as you're doing something like that, you're probably okay. And if you're using it for trading, that's another issue. But yeah, if you have a foreign address and that's all you have, that can be an issue. And even with the pension, if you're having your funds deposited overseas, the U.S. Social Security will send you, I think every year now, once a year, they'll send you, "Are you still alive?" letter. And if you don't send that back by a certain date, they will cut off your funds. Then you have to go through the process to get them established again. I know several people have told me they do that automatically. They don't wait for the notice. They don't wait for the letter because they may not even get that letter overseas. And by the way, I am walking on F. Fortuna Avenue over in Mandawi, and I'm walking. I went to visit a friend, bedridden guy. I used to see him for coffee once a week, and one day something wasn't right. It was right after he had his booster shot for the big C word, and it was obvious his mental capacity was going down very rapidly, and I told his girlfriend helper that we need to take him to the emergency room. We took him there. They did tests, and turned out he had an aneurysm. And the doctor said, yeah, it was some conflict between the jab and other medicines that he was taking at the time. Of course, nobody stopped to ask those critical questions. That's about 3 years ago, and yeah, he's bedridden. He recognizes me. He shakes my hand. If I ask him a question, he can a lot of times answer a question very vaguely, but can't have a conversation with him, which is sad. He went from, I think, over 300 pounds down to 90 pounds, something like that. Very weak, not eating. And now he's eating again, but he's gained, he's probably back up to 200 pounds. Big guy, vet. In fact, one of the things that helped us, the girlfriend helper was having, well, his debit card expired is what happened. His debit card expired, and she didn't have any access to any more money. And I told her as that was approaching, I said, you need to take out money for his medicine and food and rent and all that type of thing, because it might take some time to get the new debit card and get it activated. Well, in the end, they sent the debit card. They had his address. He had an address here in the Philippines, but they would not activate his card unless they spoke to him on the phone. And they're, like I was saying earlier, he could not speak on the phone, and so we had issues for over a year. I put him and his helper, caretaker, put her in contact with VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. There's a volunteer here in Cebu City, and he's helped a lot of former military people, a lot of times with death issues and wills and those types of things. But anyway, he was able to get the Veterans Administration involved and Social Security involved, and they even had a video call a couple different times showing him in bed and going the different issues. But it took many months, over a year pretty much, to get where they are now putting money into his and her joint account, and then she has to keep track. She keeps track of everything she's spending. So those type of issues that most people don't think about. Club 19, I think that's a karaoke or disco club, not sure. So what ways should you have? Let's say 3 or more than that. I would say at least 2 bank accounts, 2 different bank accounts, with some money and a way to transfer between bank accounts in your own country, and at least 3 ways to access those funds. Now, I generally use ATM. I can draw out at one bank here in the Philippines. In fact, if you can set up an account in your country, like HSBC and PNB, I think, has banks in the U.S. There are a number of banks that have branches in the U.S. and branches in the Philippines, or look at Thailand or whatever country you're going to thinking of retiring to. And if you can get that set up, that's probably going to make things a little bit easier for you. But I use ATMs. I can take out 40,000 pesos Philippine pesos at a time. That is a little about 700 now. At 50 pesos to the U.S. dollar, it's $800, but we're getting a better exchange rate. So I use that once a month usually, and I've used the money transfer services. TransferWise is now Wise. There's a number of different money transfer companies, and depending upon where you live, different ones will work in some countries, not so well in other countries. So you can use that, and like I said, yeah, more and more I hear U.S. citizens in particular, not everybody, but you hear more and more that they're having issues with banking. And then with setting up banks in the Philippines or Thailand too, I follow a lot of Thai news and blogs, and more and more people are having issues with their Thai bank account being frozen. And I've heard the stories. Integrity Legal Thailand, lawyer that has an office over there, he puts out some good information. Number of issues in Thailand. There's the issue that if you're there more than 6 months, your income could be taxable, and that's kind of a topic off and on, and they haven't really clarified all the rules about that. So a lot of people are just saying, "No, I'll only stay there less than 6 months, and then I'll go to the Philippines or Vietnam or some other place." And then the changes with the visas that makes it a little more iffy. In Thailand, with the border conflict and the little war they're having with Cambodia, some people have left because of that. Different issues because of that issue, and then they've had when Myanmar had a 7-point something earthquake here many months ago, and even in I think it was Bangkok, a tower collapsed, and people are a little bit edgy about the structural integrity. Some of the buildings, that's causing some people to leave the Thailand. So then you can use you can use an ATM, you can use a money transfer service. If you've got a bank account in each country, you can wire money. Sometimes it takes a little longer. Some banks and systems have a little higher fees than others, and I will do a different video about some of and there are dozens and dozens of alternatives, but I've been doing some research on some of the better rated ones, and I'll get into that in another video. And if you're traveling in many other foreign countries, certain places, your ATM card, your cash card, your debit card will not work. They're not, all these terminals are not international. There are international terminals, and especially you go to more remote areas. I've been on a couple of islands where I was told, yeah, there's one bank with one ATM machine on the island, and it may or may not be working. It may or may not have money, may be out of money, and I was fortunate because I thought I was going to be able to use my credit card several other places, and turned out so many places only took cash. So I was wanting for additional cash, and I was fortunate in that I was able to get some on that relatively small island. The other issue, your bank probably has a daily limit how much you can take out. When I first came to the Philippines, my bank was at $300 a day, which was fine. I used my credit card all over the U.S. Didn't have an issue just with 300. And when I came here, it took me a while to get them to increase it. After I asked, I think it took a couple months. They finally raised it to 1,000 U.S. dollars. But then with the time difference too, if that's every day, you've got to keep in mind the time. They're going by their time, not your time in whatever foreign country you're at. And many of the banks around the world have limits how much you can take out per transaction as well. Here in the Philippines, Several banks have a limit of 10,000. And I know one of my friends, he'll, rather than go into a bank that has a higher limit that's convenient for him, and he'll stand there and take out, 5 different times, 10,000, 50,000 pesos. I go to one bank, I take out 40,000. But then there's usually a fee for that, 250 pesos, about $5 that your bank may or may not charge you. Like Charles Schwab will charge you, but then refund that money, as long as you have a U.S. Address as well. And the system you're using today might not work tomorrow. I used TransferWise a couple times when I first came here. Transfer money, and there's several different places they're associated with. You can pick them up, a bank, or they've got money transfer places all over the place in the Philippines. And one day they said, no, we canceled your request. I called them. Why? We won't tell you. The computer system suspects fraud. I used WorldRemit once. I think I tried to send myself too much at once, $1,000. And I was walking out the door to go collect it, and got an email saying, we've canceled your money transfer. And I called them. They said, we can't tell you. The computer says it sounds fraudulent. So yes, if you use a service like that, start slow and build it up over months and years, so that you don't put a red flag up right away. Anyway, looking forward to you leaving comments and telling me what your experiences are, whatever country you are retiring in. Anyway, we'll see you in the next video.